Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video, and welcome if you're new. So the brand new season 4 Reloaded just dropped a couple days ago, and I think it's time to give you guys some updated class setups for season 4 Reloaded. And these are not just any simple class setups. These are some special class setups that I put together that I feel like you guys should try in season 4 Reloaded. So if you guys do enjoy the content, a like is definitely appreciated. If we could hit 500 likes within 24 hours of this video being posted, that would literally make my day. And make sure to subscribe if you're brand new around here to make your way back to the channel. Today, make it official, and let's get into it. All right, welcome back to the Gunsmith. So how we're gonna break this down is we're gonna do this by category. So we're gonna start first with the SMGs, and then the assault rifles that I feel like you guys should be using, and then we're gonna get into my special as well as a couple bonus class setups that you guys definitely need to try out. So first, let's talk about the SMGs. Everybody's favorite, man. It's a very dominant SMG type of game right now, especially with the type of maps that are in here. Just like Rush, which was just released, it's a perfect type of map for SMGs. But anyways, let's talk about the KSP-45. So KSP-45 is definitely up there in my top 10 list, mainly because its TTK is super fast for SMGs. It's basically in a league of its own. Granted, it is a burst fire weapon, but if you learn how to harness the true potential of this weapon, you are going to be unstoppable. I've made separate videos regarding the KSP. If you watch those videos, I literally delete my opponents. And just in case if you don't believe me, you got to try it out yourself. But anyways, for the muzzle, we're running with the agency suppressor. So this is a stealth build. We want to be as stealthy as possible so that when we're firing our weapon, enemies do not see us at all. This is perfect for staying alive as long as possible and going on long streaks. And it also does give us a nice little boost to our vertical recoil control. Although it's a burst fire weapon, we don't really need to worry too much about controlling that recoil, especially at the range that you're supposed to be using at, which is within that 19-meter range. All right, so for the barrel, we're using the Task Force barrel for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you know, SMGs, they don't have too much range by default, so we do have to extend that out, and that's what the Task Force barrel is going to help us out with, which is, you see here, 19 meters, as well as giving us a really good boost to our bullet velocity at 75%. And this is very crucial for SMGs, given the fact that they have very low bullet velocity by nature. That means that when we're trying to engage with targets, especially moving targets at longer distances, it's going to be really hard to hit our targets as instantly as possible. So that's why we got to use barrels that do increase bullet velocity. I talk about this in literally almost all of my SMG based videos and show testing and proof of why these barrels just perform better than others. All right, so for the underbarrel, we're going with the patrol grip. Like I said, it's a burst fire weapon. It has almost minimal recoil to it, so we don't really need an underbarrel that does control that recoil. So I figured, you know what, this is a close range class setup. Let's go ahead and increase our speed in our sprinting move speed as well as our sprint to fire time. So the patrol grip is super perfect for this class setup. Now for the handle, we're going with the serpent wrap. This helps out with adding a little bit more aim down sight speed to our side, as well as minimal cons to our sprint to fire time, which is very important in close quarter combat situations. You do not want to hinder your sprint to fire time too much. All right, so for stock, we're going with the no stock attachment for that sprint to fire time boost, and this is going to conclude the class setup for the KSP-45. Now, moving forward, I do not want to repeat this because this is pretty much the same exact class setup that I use for my secondary on all of the future class setups that I'm about to talk about today. So we're using the AMP-63, and we're using the SOCOM Eliminator, Task Force barrel, soft target designator, static 25 round, and the serpent wrap. Now here is the rest of my 6-perk class setup. Most of the class setups that I'm giving you guys today are all 5 attachment and 6 perks class setup, with the exception of a few ones, so I just want to make that clear. So this is what I'm currently running for my 6-perk class setup combination. Now moving on to the next weapon, we got the AK-74U. This cannot be a top 10 class setup without an AK-74U listed in here. Let's just be real, the AK-74U is just one of the most enjoyable guns to use because of its amazing mobility. So for the muzzle, we're using the sound suppressor, again moving along with the theme of being stealthy. And no, this will not hinder your damage range too much, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But you know what, honestly, if you want to go on higher streaks, and I've been actually dropping a lot more nukes lately because I've been playing a lot more stealthy. My class setups have been built around being a little bit more sneaky, and it's all in thanks to the sound suppressor. It just makes a lot of sense. If you're being seen on the enemy minimap, then obviously smart players are just gonna find you and kill you. It's just simple as that. Now for the barrel, we're using the Task Force barrel, and this is why using the suppressor is not really going to hurt you too much, because this will help optimize the potential of your damage range at 10.29 meters. Now let's say we didn't use a sound suppressor, and take a look at that. It's literally only increased by 1 meter. That's really not that much. That's why using something like the sound suppressor is definitely worth it in my opinion. Now for the underbarrel, we're going with the 𝗧𝗘𝗔𝗠𝗏𝗧𝗏 speed grip. This just helps out with sprinting move speed as well as that horizontal horizontal recoil control with very minimal cons to our speed, as you see listed here. Now for the handle, we're going with the serpent wrap again, just moving along the theme of just not trying to compromise our sprint to fire time too much, since this is a close range build, and also having that ample aim down sight time. And naturally, the mobility of the AK-74U is just so awesome. You know, some of those things are not really that crucial as far as just, you know, increasing the optimization of your speed. You know what I'm saying? If that makes a little sense, you know, it's a little too much at that point that you won't even see a difference, is basically what I'm saying. So you might as well go for attachments that won't give you too many cons. Now, KGB skeletal stock is what we're going to be using for the stock. And again, literally same exact setup here for my 6 perks and my equipment. Now, let's move on to the brand new SMG in Season 4 Reloaded. If you guys haven't seen my actual full stat breakdown and analysis of this gun, just so you guys are curious of, you know, how did I come to the conclusion of these attachments, make sure to check that video out. I go full in depth and it's definitely worth watching because there's a lot of good information there to know. So for the OTS-9, definitely use the KGB Eliminator if you want to go that route. This will give us a really good chance at controlling that recoil, especially at longer distances if you need to engage in longer distances. And there really isn't that much difference between the cons of the 𝗧𝗠𝗥𝗡𝗙𝗢𝗦 Compensator and the KGB Eliminator. However, you do get way more vertical recoil control versus the 𝗧𝗠𝗥𝗡𝗙𝗦 Compensator. Now, for the barrel, again, we're using the Task Force barrel. This gave us the fastest hit detection possible compared to the other barrels that do give us extra bullet velocity. And even though it does reduce your horizontal and vertical recoil control, it's really minimal at best and nothing to worry about. Now, there is no underbarrel. I know this is very strange, but like I said, all you need is the KGB Eliminator and you're going to be just fine. Now, in the future, I will come up with different alternate variants of this class setup. Like, let's say I want to make a stealth class setup, so stay tuned for that. And another reason to subscribe and join Turbo Nation today, make it official. Anyways, for the magazine, we're using the 40-round magazine. Now, the reason why this is extremely important is because the OTS-9 has an extremely high fire rate at 857 RPM. So you're going to find yourself in a lot of situations where you're running out of ammo fairly quickly. And since this is an aggressive type of build, you are going to need that insurance of having extra ammo. Now, if you just ran with something like the 30-round magazine, you are going to have a hard time, you know, just, you know, keeping your gunfights constant and fluid. So that's why 40 rounds per magazine is a must in my opinion. And for the handle, we're using the GRU elastic wrap to mitigate the negatives on the magazine attachment. And the stock, this is very important specifically to the OTS-9, because if you're not using a stock that helps with aim walking movement speed, I found that it's very, very slow and you could lose some gunfights. So improving your sprint to fire time and aim walking movement speed on the OTS-9 specifically is going to be very, very crucial. So again, same thing applies to the rest of my class setup here, same thing as everything else. Now, for my 4th class setup, I'm not really a big fan of the PPSH until I made this class setup. This is a stealth PPSH class setup, and I know there are some fans out there who do enjoy this gun, and I felt like, you know what, let's move away from the quote-unquote meta weapons, at least most of them, and try something new, try something different. This is fairly new to the game, and it's a fairly recent new SMG, obviously not as new as the OTS-9, but you get the idea. So for the muzzle, we're going with the sound suppressor. Barrel is going to be the reinforced heavy. Once again, this is the barrel that gives us the best hit detection possible on the PPSH, and also the underbarrel is going to be the 𝗧𝗠𝗥𝗡𝗙𝗦 grip. Magazine is going to be the 50-round fast mag. Handle is going to be the GRU elastic wrap. All right, again, same thing applies. Now, last but not least, for the SMG category, I cannot make this class setup list without the LC-10. Obviously, this is one of the most popular SMGs in the game next to the AK-74U. So for the muzzle, we're using the infantry compensator. Barrel is the task force barrel. Underbarrel is the speed grip. Handle is going to be the serpent wrap, and stock is going to be the Raider stock. Now, the one thing that makes the LC-10 so amazing and unique in the SMG category is its range and the fact that it could keep a consistent TTK up to longer ranges, which makes it competitive with assault rifles in the game. So you're essentially having a mini assault rifle with the mobility of an SMG, if that makes sense. So obviously that can be a little unfair in certain engagements, but hey, you know, this is the LC-10. There's nothing we can do about it. You know, it exists in the game and people love using it for that reason. All right, now let's talk about some assault rifles that I do recommend that you should be using. So this is a fairly different XM4 class setup for a couple of reasons. They literally buffed the iron sights of a couple of ARs, and I really like the iron sights on the XM4 now. It's just so much easier, more enjoyable to use. There's really no reason why you shouldn't try it yet if you haven't really been a fan of the XM4 and the iron sights. This opens up so many different possibilities for expanding your class setups because you no longer have to use a sight. The XM4 was one of those guns where I felt like I either A, had to just adjust to the iron sights, or B, make an 8 attachment class setup because I needed a sight on it. So with this new buff, we don't need to worry about any of that. We can go ahead straight up make a 5 attachment class setup with 6 perks, which is obviously going to make us a super soldier in game, and it will result in a higher kill streak. Now for the muzzle, we're using the agency suppressor. We want to stay as stealthy as possible. Barrel is going to be the Ranger barrel, the only barrel you should be using on the XM4. It gives us the fastest hit detection possible. And for the underbarrel, we're using the SFOD speed grip just to help out with our sprinting move speed as well as that horizontal recoil control. Now the magazine is going to be the 40 round magazine. This is just personal preference. You know, if you don't really care too much about ADS, then, you know, by all means, feel free to go with any of these attachments here. You just got to keep in mind to mitigate the negatives whenever possible. Now handle is going to be the airborne elastic wrap. I wanted this to be a cracked aim as fast as possible because my intentions with this class setup was to be stealthy and also play a little aggressive. So obviously ADS speed is super important. Now here's the rest of my class setup. It's basically the same thing as the previous class setups I showed you. All right, and next up we have the Fara 83. Again, I cannot make a class setup without recommending the Fara 83. It has the fastest TTK in the assault rifle category next to the AK-47. Now for the muzzle, we're going with the suppressor, and barrel is going to be the Liberator barrel. Fairly similar to the XM4, the Liberator barrel is going to be the most important attachment, but the Fara 83 is a little different in the fact that not a lot of these barrels do offer extra bullet velocity. So we're left with little choice here, and that's the Liberator barrel, and this is a very powerful barrel at that because it gives us incredible hit detection, which is obviously important in gunfights. Underbarrel is going to be the 𝗧𝗠𝗠𝗧𝗧 speed grip. Handle is going to be the VDV 50 round fast mag, and handle is going to be the 𝗧𝗓 elastic wrap. Again, here is my setup for my 6 perks. All right, next up, let's talk about this bonus class setup, this MG82. I am not an LMG guy by any means, but as soon as this gun dropped, I'm literally all for it. For the MG82, you definitely have to try this class setup out. It absolutely beams. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out on my channel. Absolutely great stuff for an LMG. Now, we don't need a muzzle. This has very impressive recoil control, so a muzzle is not necessary at all. Now, for the barrel, we're using the Task Force barrel. This will help us extend our damage range out there. You know, it's fairly confusing that this is an LMG and it doesn't really have that much range to it. You know, in real life, you would think an LMG has a lot of range to it. Well, that's not the case in Cold War. So that's why we need to use attachments that will help us out with damage range as well as bullet velocity. This is what is important when it comes to building your class setups. You know, you have to think about those certain type of things. And in this case, Task Force barrel is certainly worth using on the MG82. Now for the underbarrel, we are going to be using the infiltrator grip. We do not need an underbarrel that controls vertical recoil or horizontal recoil control. Again, this MG82 has impeccable, easily impeccable, I don't even know what I just said, very easy to control recoil. So infiltrator grip will help improve our speed, and obviously that's very important because LMGs are known to be slow and sluggish. So magazine, we're going to go with the Salvo 150 round fast mag. A caveat that comes with using LMGs in general is the fact that they reload so slow. So at the cost of only 10% aim down sight time. So this is absolutely amazing. There's no other reason why you shouldn't use this attachment. Now for handle, we're going with the airborne elastic wrap. Obvious reasons, we do want to increase our speed. Stock, again, SAS combat stock, a very special attachment. We increase our aim walking movement speed by a whopping 75%. So if you're using a weapon as slow as this LMG, obviously increasing our aim walking movement speed is going to help out, as well as that shooting move speed in gunfights. You know, we got to be able to keep up with these AR and SMG users somehow, right? All right, and here's the rest of my class setup. Same exact thing. Now I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, yo Turbo, what about the AK-47? You left that one out. Now this is where my special class setup comes in. This is a combination of an AK-74U and the AK-47 combination. Absolutely deadly. I literally dropped a nuke my first time using this class setup, and I read some comments as well of you guys almost achieving a nuke with the same exact result. So that only speaks volumes. I mean, it makes sense because we've got the fastest killing close range fully automatic SMG in the AK-74U, and then the fastest killing assault rifle in the game, with exception to the Fara 83, but the AK-47 has better mobility. So when you combine these two together and you use them correctly in the most opportune situations, the AK-74U is meant for, you know, rushing around the map, rushing into buildings, close quarter combat. AK-47 is meant to help you out when, you know, of course, you're running out of ammo, or to engage in longer range gunfights and still be able to beam your opponents. That's why this class setup is absolutely unstoppable, and you guys need to try this out if you haven't yet. So anyways, these are the attachments: sound suppressor, Task Force barrel, 𝗧𝗠𝗠𝗧𝗧 grip, the serpent wrap, as well as the KGB skeletal stock for the 74U. And for the AK-47, AK-47, we got the suppressor, VDV reinforced, underbarrel is going to be the Spetsnaz grip, magazine 50 round fast mag, handle is going to be the 𝗧𝗠 elastic wrap. And I get a lot of questions asking, how did I equip both of these weapons? All you got to do is put on Lawbreaker first. This is what is going to allow you to equip both of these weapons here at the same time. And this is just my perk combination setup for when I'm using Lawbreaker. This is just personal preference. You can use whatever you want to. But one thing that I do want to note is that if you're not using Scavenger, it's very important to use your assault pack field upgrade. That way you can replenish your ammo as needed. Now, this is a similar combination class setup that I also do like very well. Now, instead, this time we're using the XM4 and the KSP-45. So for the XM4, it's pretty much literally the same exact XM4 setup I just showed you previously. You got agency suppressor, ranger barrel, SFOD speed grip, we got the 40 round, and as well we got the serpent wrap. Now the KSP is the same thing as well. We got the agency suppressor, task force barrel, patrol grip, airborne elastic wrap, and the no stock attachment. And these are the 3 perks that I'm rocking here with this class setup. So yeah, guys, if you guys came here just for the class setup, make sure to leave a like on your way out. I'd really appreciate it, and make sure to subscribe to make your way back to the channel. Make sure to check out my other videos. I know I kind of just like breeze through these, but I try to give some details along the way wherever possible. But all of these class setups are based on my testing and analysis, you know, and I show you guys in each individual video. You know, if you want to click on a video, let's say like the LC10 or the XM4, like the Stealth XM4, I have individual videos just talking more in depth about them, especially with the brand new OTS-9. If you guys want to learn more about it and the secret behind why it is definitely considered a top 10 in season 4 Reloaded, make sure to check out that video. Anyways, guys, I'm out of here. Hopefully you guys do have a great weekend, and I will see you guys in the next one. Let's go, baby. Yo, if you guys are always on your computer all day, or you like to game for long sessions, definitely check out GamerAdvantage.com for these blue light blocking glasses. Quite literally the best blue light glasses that you can ever find on the market. Make sure to check out GamerAdvantage.com and just learn more about it, man. There's so many benefits to keeping your eyes nice and healthy. You won't feel that strain at the end of the day, and you'll go to sleep like a baby at the end of the day, and that's the best part. You won't feel tired at all. Definitely check out GamerAdvantage.com. Use code TURBO at checkout.